You know, whenever you hop on the internet, there's this whole world of insane activity happening completely out of sight. I like to think of it as a fancy hotel's concierge desk, this invisible team of specialists just working around the clock to make sure your experience is smooth and, secure. So in this explainer, we're going to pull back that curtain and actually meet the team.
Welcome to Super Courseva. Unlock the secrets of the internet and master computer networking. Let's dive in.
We've all been there, right? You're trying to get some work done, maybe stream a movie, and suddenly, poof, nothing. It has to be one of the most common and most frustrating phrases of our modern lives. But here's the thing, the little secret that IT pros know, it's almost never the actual physical cable or your Wi-Fi signal. Nope. The real culprit is usually one of those invisible specialists from our concierge desk just having a bad day. The problem isn't the road itself. It's that all the traffic signs suddenly stopped working.
So today, we're going to meet that team. We'll start with what's really happening when the internet breaks. Then we'll introduce the 4 core members of our network crew. DNS, who's the translator, DHCP, the receptionist, NAT, our digital security guard, and VPNs, your own personal private tunnel. And finally, we'll wrap up with why knowing this team is such a game changer. Okay, so let's start by digging into that core problem. When you say the internet is broken, what is really going on? Well, at its heart, it's a failure of communication. It's a breakdown in one of the services that makes the whole thing user-friendly in the first place.
First up on the team is our translator, DNS. Now, this is one of the most fundamental services on the entire internet, but it's also one of the most misunderstood. Basically, it exists to solve a huge language barrier between you and every computer out there. And here is that language barrier in a nutshell. We humans, we think in names, right? Like Google.com. It's easy to remember. Computers, they could care less about names. They only think in numbers, these long strings of digits called IP addresses. I mean, can you imagine having to memorize that string of numbers just to do a Google search? No way.
And that's exactly what DNS does. The domain name system is basically the internet's giant phone book. When you type in a website, DNS just looks it up and tells your browser the correct IP address to connect to. So when DNS fails, it's like the phone book is completely blank. The website is still out there, but your computer has absolutely no idea how to find it.
Now, let's meet the next member of our team, DHCP, your friendly network receptionist. See, every single device on a network, from your phone to your smart fridge, needs its own unique address, just like every house on a street. But who's in charge of handing all those addresses out? Just try to imagine the chaos if you had to do this yourself. Every time you connected your phone to Wi-Fi at a friend's house or a new laptop to the office network, you'd have to manually type in a unique IP address and then cross your fingers that nobody else was already using it. It would be a complete and utter nightmare. Thankfully, we have the receptionist. DHCP, which stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, automates this whole process. When your device joins a network, it pretty much just raises its hand and says, "Hi, I'm new here. Can I get an address?" DHCP then checks its list of what's available and instantly assigns one. It's simple, it's automatic, and it's the reason you can just seamlessly connect to any Wi-Fi network without a second thought.
All right, our network's up and running smoothly. People can get online easily. Now let's talk about being efficient and secure. For that, we need to meet NAT, the Digital Security Guard. This service is a really clever solution that manages to solve 2 massive problems at the exact same time.
So yeah, NAT does double duty. First, it solves a huge problem from the early days of the internet. We were literally running out of unique IP addresses to give out. And second, it acts as a kind of firewall, creating a really important barrier between all your private devices and the public internet. Here's how it pulls that off. Network Address Translation, or NAT, lets your entire home or office network with maybe dozens of different devices show up to the outside world as just one single public IP address. Think of it like an entire apartment building having just one mailbox. This trick not only saves a ton of addresses, but it also means no one on the outside can directly see or contact your personal laptop or your phone or your printer. They're all hidden. So we can find websites, we can get connected automatically, and we can stay secure on our own private network. But what happens when we leave the safety of our home or office? Well, that's where our final specialist comes in, the VPN, which is all about creating your own private tunnel. Let's think about a super common situation. You're at a coffee shop, maybe an airport or a hotel, and you're using their public Wi-Fi. That network is, by definition, open.
And that means your data is potentially exposed to anyone else who's on it. So, how do you protect yourself?
This is the job of a VPN. A virtual private network takes all of your internet traffic and wraps it in this super strong layer of encryption. This creates a secure, private tunnel directly from your device all the way to its destination, which makes your data totally unreadable to anybody who might be snooping on that public network. It's like sending a letter in a locked metal briefcase instead of just writing it on a postcard for everyone to see.
So let's do a quick roll call of our concierge team. We've got DNS, the translator, turning names into numbers. We've got DHCP, the receptionist, handing out all the addresses. There's NAT, the security guard, protecting our private network. And finally, VPNs, creating that private tunnel for us when we're out and about. Each one of them plays an absolutely critical role.
So, why did we just go through and meet this whole team? Well, it's because understanding them is the real key to understanding how the internet actually works, and maybe more importantly, how it breaks. These 4 services are the invisible, essential layer that makes all of this networking stuff human-friendly. They sit between the raw, messy data of the internet and you, the user. And that's why this matters so much. When you understand how they work, you can finally move from just saying the internet is broken to figuring out exactly which one of these services has failed. And that is the real art of troubleshooting.
So I'll leave you with this little thought experiment. Now that you've met the whole team, the translator, the receptionist, the security guard, and the private tunnel specialist, which one do you think is the real MVP, the most valuable player, the one that if it vanished, the whole system would just completely collapse? It's a tough call. And honestly, that just shows you how vital this entire invisible team really is.